Welcome back, everybody. So I finally painted a new concept art video for you guys. I figured now would be a good time to look at some of the villains, right? Because what good is a hero if he has no villains to fight? Like, what would He-Man be without Skeletor? Or Batman without Joker, am I right? And I guess we'll start with the biggest of the bads, you could say. So his name is the Loathing Nothingness. Now, before I go further, I guess I want to mention that I'm not exactly sure if I will use this character in my story because I feel this character's creation or this character's usage within the story could be, I guess, sort of. Let me see. Like, it's kind of a conflict of interest when it comes to the themes of the show. So the main theme of the show in its entirety is that, like, if you want to see change, it starts with you, right? Like, if the world sucks, like in the case of the story, like, you can't just expect somebody to come and solve all your problems. You have to do it yourself. And, like, the reason why this is important is because... let me fix the light for you. Sorry, it's in my eyes. The reason why this is important is because all the villains in the show, their scale is actually very small. Like, I don't know, we've looked at Jimet, right? From the Nakaho video. She is just one lady. Just causing a bunch of trouble, right? And I guess nobody can really do anything about it, or they just don't want to because it's just one lady. How much trouble can one person cause, right? So then it's up to more common. Like, he's the one who takes up the challenge in order to defeat her. And that's not necessarily the complete, I guess, story behind Jimet. Like, I want each villain to kind of have a certain theme to it. And, like, for Jimet, like, the story I wanted to attach to her was that, like, you can only go so far yourself, right? Like, loneliness is not good for you, I guess. And, like, you need help. You will need help. You will need your friends to help you along. You'll need family and all of that. But I guess, anyways, another reason I don't really want to use... I'm not sure if I will use the Loathing Nothingness as a villain, as an actual villain, is because it could be... Let's see, like, how do I describe it? Like Naruto, for example. Naruto had a very specific kind of direction, right? But then, like, when the war arc started, like, everything just kind of changed. Like, the complete, I guess, I don't know, how do I say it? I don't know how to describe it. But, like, basically, like, the things that made you like the show in the first place kind of just was thrown out the window, right? Like, it was all about small-scale conflicts between ninjas. They may have had magical powers, but those powers had limits. And then you just have, like, this insane power creep during the war arc, and, like, I just didn't like that very much. It kind of destroyed, like, the whole narrative of the entire story. And, like, that's what I'm afraid that this character could do. Because this character is very special, and I'll get to that in just a minute. They're very unique. And then I guess the third main reason I don't like this. I'm not sure if I will use this character as a villain, is because in a way they're kind of a demiurge in a way. Like, if you don't know what a demiurge is, well, I don't know exactly what it specifically means, but like I heard, who was it? Like, Let's Talk Religion for Breakfast. Like, some guy who does videos like explaining religions and stuff. He always used that term to refer to like an evil god character, and that's kind of what this character is an evil god. Um, and like, to me, the idea of a demiurge or some kind of demon or devil that's just like naturally evil and just out to destroy everything, I feel like that's just really lame. Like, I don't know, like Satan, for example. Like, my concept of who Satan is very, I don't know, like, to me, Satan is really not an important thing. Like, I don't, like, in my church, we don't really care about Satan very much. Whereas other churches, like, they absolutely freak out at the sight of, or I guess, like, at any inclination of evil, they kind of freak out. And, like, I don't agree with that mindset. Um, but I guess, anyways, let's, I'll finally get into some details about this character. Okay, so, as I said before, he is a sort of, an evil godlike character. But more specifically, he is actually a spirit. Just a regular spirit. But the thing that sets him apart from, I guess, other creations of Han Kanata and Roken Hamedi is that he is a product of pure randomness. So in the story, how a spirit works is that you have, I guess there's three parts to a sentient entity, right? You have the physical body, which is, I guess, like what we have right now, right? You have the spiritual body, and in the story, spiritual matter and regular matter are actually one and the same thing, except spiritual matter is just much finer. It's much finer, and it can only be discerned by pure eyes. And like I imagined, like the light, like spiritual light, is neutrinos. I thought that would be cool. But anyways, underneath all of that, though, is what's called the intelligence. And you can kind of, like, think of it kind of like a marble. I like to think of it like that. But it is the thing that gives a spirit its sentience. Like every living thing has an intelligence behind it. Perhaps of varying qualities, but still an intelligence nonetheless. However, what happened for him was, I don't like calling him a him because he's not, because he was created by randomness. Gender isn't really a thing that applies to him, but I don't want to call him an it either because he has the same intellectual capacity as a regular human being. So to call him an it would be kind of diminutive. But we're just going to call him a he, right? Anyways, he, like one day, an intelligence somehow got a hold of a clump of spiritual matter, and it formed, through coincidence and chance, it formed a spirit. And this spirit, as it was developing, it just kind of hung out for a while. And it was created roughly, like it was created shortly before the War of the Endless Night. And the spirit, as it slowly became more sentient, it eventually ended up on the planet that the story takes place on. I guess we'll just call it Earth for convenience. It's not Earth. It's different. Anyways, the spirit that would come to be, he ended up on Earth, and it was kind of like a Frankenstein's situation, right? Like if you read the book, you know that how Frankenstein ends up the way he is because he was observing like this family, like this small family in a cottage. The and he learned to talk, and he learned to, I guess, understand humanity through observing this little family. And this family in the store in my story, they had a little girl, and this is what he kind of observed, and this it was through her that he learned how to speak like a human being. He learned about human beings. He learned how they operate. Like he wanted to become a human being because, like as far as he could tell, he was just like one of them. But unfortunately, the War of the Endless Night showed up. Uh, Armies appeared. I guess small. I'm not sure exactly how, but this little family gets killed. My original plan was it was through like volcanic ash. I guess the gases from a local volcano that was set off by one of the neighboring nations caused it just poured out a bunch of poisonous gas and killed the family. But I feel it would be more appropriate for his character if he was killed by other human beings, and I think I'm gonna go with that. Like it was a small recon force. They run into this family. Out of desperation, they have to kill them, and like this is his first taste of like the evilness that humanity can have, and because the family had spirits too, they quickly entered the, I guess, spiritual side of things, but they were quickly whisked away before he could follow. So not only was this his friends and this I'm sorry, let me try that again. So not only were his friends, and I guess you could say his family, were killed, they were taken from him. They were taken from him so quickly. And like as the war progressed, he saw more of the evil of humanity. And eventually that kind of leads to where he is at the present in the story. He despises humanity. He wants humanity to be utterly destroyed. But because he is a spirit, I guess not in the context of this painting here, but because he is a spirit for the most part, he can't really interact with the physical world. I guess material world. I don't know, physical world. Anyways, because he can't interact with the normal world very much, he essentially pits humanity against itself in the hopes that they'll destroy themselves. Let's see, what do we got here? And I guess now on to why he's the biggest of the bad. So because he's lived for so long, he has like several thousand years of knowledge just hidden away, or I guess not hidden away, but like he has access to a lot of knowledge that was forgotten after the war, and so he finds suitable targets, and he essentially blesses them with this knowledge in order to, let's see, he blesses them with the knowledge in the hopes that they'll use it because he knows human nature so well. He expects them to use this knowledge for evil and to harm others. And I guess this is kind of like another reason why I don't want him to be like the main villain, or well, I don't want him to be a villain, or at least not the main villain, is because it has to do with how evil functions within the show. Well, I guess I kind of explained that already, huh? But like, I don't know, but like in the story, good doesn't prevail because good is too passive. But evil doesn't prevail either because it's too chaotic and disorganized. So kind of like how a lot of people believe there's a great conspiracy going on to make our new world order, right? Like, I don't necessarily believe that's accurate, because if you have people vying for power and authority, what's going to end up happening is that you have people who want to have more power and authority than anyone else, and so they'll form their own conspiracies. And have then you have two conspiracies fighting against each other, and then you have more conspiracies and all that. And so, like, maybe there's not one conspiracy, maybe there's like 20 going on. But the reason why they're not doing so well is because they're all beating the crap out of each other. They're too busy, and they don't want to unite, because then that kind of defeats the purpose of what they were originally trying to do. And that kind of applies to my show as well. Like, most of, like, at least half the villains don't really have a tie to the Loathing Nothingness. Like, we'll go back to Jimet. Jimet has no tie to the Loathing Nothingness at all. In fact, the Loathing Nothingness, let's see, what did he do? Oh yeah, he sent a messenger to Jimet in hopes that to make an offer with her in order to, I guess, sort of help her cause more havoc. However, she, being the lone Caracol, you could say, she was not having any of it. She did not want any help from anybody. And so she killed the messenger. Literally. Took his eyes. And the Loathing Nothingness, yeah, he was kind of mad about that. But, like, after that, he just kind of left. He kind of just left her alone. I hope that makes sense, what I'm trying to say, right? Like, the villains, for the most part, they're self-contained, and if they do have any connection to other villains, it's usually not in complete alignment. Like, they make an agreement, but then one of them makes an agreement behind the other's back. Let's see, we have a term for this in my church. It's called a secret combination. But I have another term for it. It's called a bloody covenant. I guess now that kind of brings us on to a second ability. So because he is a spirit, and he has an intelligence that is not regulated by a higher power, he has access to some, I guess you could say, divine power as well. And, like, I thought it would be interesting, like, the idea of a corrupted priesthood. So he blesses those who follow him with these priesthoods in the hopes that they'll use them in order to harm the innocent and all that jazz, right? And, like, I guess kind of combine the two. He gives them technological knowledge, and he gives them a corrupted priesthood too. And then they kind of combine the both and make, I guess, a truly evil machine. See, I guess that's really all I have here for right now. Let's see, what else do I want to say? I guess if I don't use him as an actual villain, I may just use him as a tool of the plot. As in, like, because he has access to knowledge in corrupted priesthoods, that can just allow me to make more interesting villains. So I guess, yeah, kind of like that. He's just a tool of the plot in order to, I guess, make things make sense. But I feel like it's kind of a waste. But I guess now that I think about it, what I said earlier about him not fitting the themes of the narrative, I think actually now it could be a great idea, because what he embodies is, I guess, the reverse of the theme, right? So, like, more common, like, he does good in order to see good things happen and to see change in the world, right? In order to improve the world. Meanwhile, the Loathing Nothingness, he's doing the reverse. He wants to make the world worse. So I guess maybe I will use him as a villain, because his theme would be appropriate for the show. But yeah, I guess that's really about it now. I'll see you guys later. Bye.